Well, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Chicago. Yeah, there's the Twin Towers, residential buildings there, Fullerton and Commonwealth, Lincoln Park, Chicago. Yeah, there's the Lucy and Lagrange there. What a beautiful day it's turned out to be. Here we got Monday, October the 20th, 2025. I'm leaving my apartment. We're gonna head into the office. This is usually what I do in the morning. Eminem, how you doing there, MM? Yeah, we got beautiful sunshine, 64 degrees, or at least we're in the 60s. We started off pretty cool Fahrenheit. We were in the mid 40s. This morning we caught the sunrise. We went over to the Keith Haring statue there in Lakeview. Went by Belmont Harbor. That was nice. Thanks everybody tuned in this morning for the sunrise. David, how you doing there? Thanks for tuning in there. Yeah, let me check the. He reminded me. I was covering the No Kings protests in Chicago. I know they were nationwide, LA and New York, all over, even small towns, which was great. I enjoyed watching that. I know the Bears beat the Saints yesterday, but I didn't even check on MLB there. So let me check in to see news. So there we go. Dodgers are going to the World Series. Hey, congratulations to the Dodgers. Sounds like they quickly made. Isn't that amazing? The Milwaukee Brewers, I feel bad for them now because I wasn't even paying attention to it. But, you know, kudos to the LA Dodgers. Who knows if it would have been different if the Cubs would have faced them. Isn't that interesting? We thought the Milwaukee Brewers would have put up a more contested series there. But, so hey, and let's look at the other side of the equation there. Let's see what this Seattle Mariners there. Hold on a second here. See, I need to know this because people are going to ask me about this, so hold on here. Mariners. There we go. News. So here, welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Lincoln Park here. So the Mariners and Blue Jays have a Game 7. So either the Seattle Mariners or the Toronto Blue Jays, it will be decided Game 7 if who's going to face the LA Dodgers there in the World Series there. So Ron, how you doing there? Gary, Tara, thanks for tuning in there. Fat Jesus is tuning in there. Yeah. So if you just joined here, we're in Lincoln Park. We're going to head by the Billy Shakespeare statue. Wes, thanks for Taisha, Tara. Yeah. Yeah, tonight's the deciding game. So hey, thanks for. And I didn't even pay attention. I assumed that the Dodgers were probably going to win since they took a 3-0 lead in that series. But yeah, so hey, we still got the World Series ahead of us here. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Lincoln Park here. We got a beautiful mid-60s degree day here, sunshine. We'll head downtown. We're still in Lincoln Park here. I'm just starting my walk here. We'll walk through the zoo. I'm not going to spend much time in the zoo. Ernie Chicago Nuggies was at the zoo all day yesterday. And I know Jennifer You Should Eat's been streaming the zoo. You know, the zoo doesn't attract as many people watching as you would think. You know, I know a lot of it's easy live streaming. It's a free zoo. I've never had like tons and tons of people tune in. Even for the zoo lights. I was like, all the zoo lights, people are going to tune in. And it's just like people aren't interested in it. I don't know. But there's a lot of people like the animals. I like walking through there and watching. Or we'll see if the flamingos are out. I'm not going to. I'll spend about 4 minutes there. We're going to walk through there as we head towards the South Pond and head towards downtown Chicago. I'm walking all the way to the Loop. There's the Billy Shakespeare statue. Around the Bell and Stratford. All my friends here in the Lunch Bunch, you know exactly where I'm at here. We're by the Billy Shakespeare statue in Lincoln Park. We'll head over to the zoo here and we'll go to work. And I was working this morning. I was Monday. Yeah. Parkway Gardens. I've already gone to Parkway Gardens. Why do you assume I have not gone to O Block? I've gone to O Block. I've got reruns on TikTok and YouTube. Jody GTV's gone there. The person that jogs every street in Chicago's gone to O Block. See, you got me all sized up here. See, I stream in Lincoln Park. You think I'm a stereotypical North Sider that's rich and elitist and elite liberal. I'm a poor liberal. Even though I have a good job, I honestly really feel like I can't afford a car. I really never feel like I could afford a car in this city. Maybe it's because of Chicago. You can make fun of Chicago for that. But for me, it cuts out a lot of problems. I don't have to worry about it getting stolen. Nobody stealing my catalytic converter. Nobody wrecking into me. Getting tickets in the mail. Getting towed. Yeah, it's just a lot of liabilities to car ownership. I don't have to move it when it snows. You know. But here's the nice formal gardens here. Yeah, we'll have like a bunch of people asked to go to O Block. We get it every day. Seems to be the only thing people know or care about in Chicago. It's like a burn or a put down, or maybe you're really interested in the drill hip hop community, and I understand that. So King Von, Chief Keef, Odie Perry. I walk past the Marshall Field Garden Apartments. I'm like, Polo G gets no love. No one goes go to the park. No one says go to the Marshall Field Garden Apartments to film where Polo G grew up, even though it's on the north side. Here's and who knows who Polo G is? Is he still doing stuff? I don't even know. They turned the fountain off. Here's the fountain off in Lincoln Park here. We're gonna go through the zoo. No, but I did some streaming in North Carolina last month. That might be why you're confused. I did go to Wilmington, North Carolina. We went to the beach there, Wrightwood Beach. Wrightwood Beach, is that what it's called? I guess it's named after the Wright brothers. And which, you know, Kitty Hawk there and the Barrier Islands there, or what do they call that? That's where they first flight. Wright brothers there in North Carolina. We also were near Fayetteville, and we were in Raleigh. So I have some reruns of downtown Raleigh from last time, Christmas time. We saw the giant globe there in front of the news. Well, this is Lincoln Park. This is Chicago. This is the formal planning gardens by the Lincoln Park Zoo. We're going to walk through the Lincoln Park Zoo. I'm heading downtown to my architecture and engineering firm office there. I worked from home this morning. We walked around. What's this? Look at this squirrel. This squirrel is digging. You ever see a squirrel dig like that? Look at it dig. Look at that squirrel digging. It's going to town there. What is it doing? It's kneading the dough. I never seen a squirrel do that. I guess they forage and they look for acorns and mast and things in the ground there. How you doing? Yeah, it's digging. The squirrel's digging. It smells some roots or something down there. They were hanging out with the squirrels here in Lincoln Park, Chicago. You see that, Ayesha? Yeah. Dig a stew. How you doing there, Mike? Yeah. So someone's calling me an asshole. I know the Wright brothers are from Dayton, Ohio. Okay, so the Wright brothers lived in Dayton, Ohio. The first flight was in North Carolina. This is well documented. So you call me an asshole for something you can look up in Wikipedia. Who's the asshole now? The first flight was in North Carolina. It shows you America, we're all becoming, I don't even know if you're an American or not. We're all becoming dumber. Brazil contests the first flight. Brazil, when they had the Olympics in 2016, of course, there were many competitors to the Wright brothers. That guy in France, there was a guy in South America, the Brazilian guy. Somebody was going to develop flight if the Wright brothers didn't do it. They were just the first ones to perfect how they could control the plane with the bending of the wings. They ran a bicycle tire shop, or a bicycle shop in Dayton, Ohio, and the boxes they would get the inner tube tires, they noticed they would flex, and they would use that for their double wing. But here's the it shows you no matter what you say on social media, someone will question you. Sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes you're wrong, but yeah, the first sustained flight was on the Outer Banks of North Carolina there. Why does North Carolina has first in flight on their license plates? And they show the Wright brothers you're going to gaslight the whole world. Good luck with that. You should run for president. Here's the, they got the Fall Fest going on here. Maybe this is why Ernie was documenting this. They got some rides here. They got the pumpkins. Here's the gift shop. This is the Lincoln Park Zoo, Chicago, Illinois. They got the fun slide. Got the Fall Fest going on here. We got noon on the dot, 12 o'clock in the PM here, Lincoln Park Zoo. We went by the seals there. There's the housing over by Lincoln Park West. Let's see if the lions are out here. Hey, thanks for tuning in there. Hello, Nisi G. Take a stew. Isn't that amazing? You know, welcome to my world. No matter what I say, something will, and it's good. People are listening. People are listening, challenging. I know the Wright brothers were from Ohio. We got Wright State University, Wright-Patterson. There's a Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is in Dayton, Ohio, probably largely because the Wright brothers were there. If you're into conspiracy theories, it's not just Area 51 in Nevada that has weird UFO stuff. They think even Wright-Patterson Air Force Base there in Ohio. How you doing? Thank you. Appreciate it. How you? Have people coming out here? People coming out here? I just want to check the lions. I want to check the lions here really quickly. Here we go. So, hey, they are there. There's the lions there. See, Ernie saw this yesterday. There's the lion. Look at that. That's the male there with the mane there. Look how he's looking right at us there. Look at that beautiful view of the lion. How you doing here, lion? Yeah. See, like a, oh, sorry. Let me get out of here before I bang into somebody with my backpack. Anytime I move, that's how I felt with the covering the All Kings. I kept, Ernie and I were wedged between the police line, oops, okay, and the lead of the march there, with the people protecting the marchers that were part of the march, and we kept getting wedged there and bumping into people. It was hard to, it was very crowded. But here, yeah, thanks, take a stew. Thanks for tuning in. So Sarah Harwood, which was one of my late great moderators, she's since passed on. She's in heaven watching right now. She always supported, and she was a moderator for one of the lion refuges in Africa. And so we still donate a little bit of our proceeds every month that we get from TikTok and YouTube to the wildlife refuge, a real wildlife refuge in Africa, not a I think it's in Tanzania or something. It's not a zoo. And she would moderate for the woman, a younger version of Jane Goodall. I know Jane Goodall just passed away. I know she was with chimpanzees, but she also cared about the lions in Africa and in the zoos here. And Sarah would moderate for her. And she was foul-mouthed, much more foul-mouthed than me. And Sarah would block the haters because there would even be people trolling an African wildlife refuge and making fun of it, because this is the mentality of humanity. We know, you know. But here's the some humanity. Here's the flamingos. Here's the flamingos, Lincoln Park Zoo. See the Chilean flamingos here, Lincoln Park Zoo. They're pink because of the shrimp there. See, they're that one's eating it. Look at it, chowing down there. Yeah, get some shrimp, and then they drink the water. There's the flamingos. Yeah, very nice. No, she didn't take any crap. Tara remembers that too. Thanks for tuning, Lambie T. Prince is tuning in there. Ernesto, yeah, you were just here. Check out Ernesto's Chicago Nuggies page. You got the polar bear, and I saw that the news, I think you might have forwarded to me or somebody else, that the male, there's 2 polar bears here at the Lincoln Park Zoo. The male, they're going to loan it to a Wisconsin zoo. I think they're going to try to breed some other polar bears, help out the gene pool. And so see, they're putting up lights for the zoo lights here. Here's a nice praying mantis here. Look at that. It's a real, made out of real materials there. This is the Fall Fest in Lincoln Park. But Ernie was here yesterday covering the zoo. Thanks for doing that. It was a rainy day. I was laying on the couch there, getting fat and lazy. Here's look at that. See, found objects. You can do a lot of stuff here. So here we'll head through here. We'll go film the zebras are over there. Here's the David deer. They're putting up the lights here. And here's the great, this is the great folk singer. She always sings here at the Lincoln Park Zoo. I've tipped her before. And so we'll just head right by here and we'll head out of the zoo. But you'll hear beautiful music here. Hey. Yeah. Yeah. Good morning. How you doing? Yeah, she waved to us. Yeah, she's great. She's a folk singer. She sings all the good classic folk song standards for the kids at the zoo and makes us happy. And she's always there. Sometimes the magician's there. There, Nature's Boardwalk here. Here, we'll go by the north end of the South Pond. How you doing? Okay. So here we'll, here it is. So here it is. Here's the north end of the South Pond here, Lincoln Park Zoo. There's that. We're heading straight towards there. We'll walk right underneath the John Hancock. That's where we're going. We'll see if the Fourth Presbyterian Church is open. Maybe we'll take a peek inside like we usually do. Where they had My Best Friend's wedding there. Not My Best Friends, but the movie. Julia Roberts. Man, Christy M there. David's tuning in there, yeah. Yeah, good to see everybody here. You see where we're at? North Pond, Cafe Briar. We're here all the time, usually in the morning. Hey, it's a nice day to walk back downtown. And so there might be another bridge lift on Wednesday. Thanks to everybody that watched Ernie and I. And this Gemini was covering the No Kings, so check out his footage there on YouTube. He had a hard time live streaming as well when I talked to him. Ernie and I, you see how our connection kept cutting in and out. It was with the crowds, and they might have been jamming the signal, you know, or I think it was just the amount of people. It stretched 22 blocks. It was amazing the amount of people that were downtown, and all these people like to reassure themselves that we're all paid protesters. They try to say, oh, people wouldn't do here. I'm like, no, there's people volunteering their own time. I would pay money to protest instead of getting paid to protest. That's how I'm losing money on the stock market today. How when I said I stole all my stocks, I stole all my corporate stocks. I'm still playing volatility, and volatility's going down because I think the market's betting that the government shutdown's going to end tonight. So people are trying to get ahead of it. But if they don't, it might sell off again tomorrow. If there's a vote scheduled, probably after the market closes tonight. Isn't it funny how, like, it seems even like the votes for Congress are set to coincide with the market being closed. There, it looks like they're setting up for a movie here. Yeah, it's like they were doing some movie filming here. They had some cones here and stuff. This is the Genie Gang Pavilion here. Or they were just doing some professional photography. Sometimes there's weddings. This is the farm in the zoo. This is Lincoln Park, Chicago, Illinois, the South Pond. There's the Sears Tower. We saw the Sears Tower this morning from Diversey Harbor, and we went all the way up to Belmont Harbor. Hey, look at this little baby turtle. Evening and in the fall, maybe that's a fully grown turtle that's just small. Look at that little turtle there, sunning on the rock there. October the 20th. We're already in the fall here. Some of the trees are starting to turn yellow. Most of the trees are still green. Most of the trees stay green until Halloween. And Anita, thanks for tuning in there. Yeah, people are all over it. Tara, thanks for noticing. Yeah, in small towns, suburbs, different cities all across the United States. Thanks everybody that supported Chicago. Here, items on this bench. There, go to the visitor center. Left in the zoo visitor center. So if you lost anything on this bench, they returned it to this is the bench by the South Pond here in Lincoln Park, Chicago, near the Grant statue. They if you lost something there, they took it to the zoo lost and found. That's what the message was there. See, I'm like the swap shop here, you know, just like the classifieds in the newspaper. Yeah, Sears Tower. It's cool in Texas. That's a good sign. Yeah, you've had a long, hot summer in Texas. I know I have family that lives in Houston. I know how hot it gets in Houston in the summertime. We were down there in June when it was 99 degrees and 99% humidity. And it lasts all the way till like September that way. I know certain areas of Texas. Other areas aren't as humid. West Texas is not as humid, but it gets hot. Dallas gets hot and humid sometimes. Yeah, Michael Rodriguez, how you doing there? Luis, how you doing there? Yeah, here's the Grant statue on his horse there. Here's the South Pond. Farm and the zoo's across the way. Thanks everybody for tuning in here. Kenneth, weather's not bad. Weather's pretty nice today, Kenneth. It's 64 degrees, sunshine. We got some rain yesterday. We needed the rain. And it's going to be cool most of the week. It's probably going to be in the 50s. This might be the warmest day of the week. So I'm taking advantage of it here. But, you know, we had a nice long summer and fall. Weather's been really nice in Chicago the past month or so. And we lucked out for the No Kings. I was afraid it was going to rain on Saturday, but the rain held off. And it's good that Ernie and I left when we did. Both Ernie and I were filming the Ernesto Chicago Nuggies was filming the Arts in the Dark parade there on State Street. And both his and I connection were cutting out because of the crowds. So we got out of there, and it's good we did. I took the brown line home. Ernie took the orange line. Hopefully he made it home before the rain. I made it home, and I was laying there on the couch looking at the video reruns, and it started raining as soon as like Saturday night, or yeah, and that lasted all the way to Sunday morning. Hey, here's the woolly worm. Here's the woolly worm. Here's the woolly worm crawling across the. Hey, it notices us there. It stopped. It's like it noticed some big shadow hovering above it. The old wives' tales, you could tell how many snows you're going to get by the markings on the woolly worms there. Here's the squirrel. Here, Lincoln Park, Chicago, Illinois. Look how they added this. Yeah, they added the sidewalk to the Garibaldi monument here. They added some benches. This is new. They just put up the benches. I saw they poured the concrete. They added some benches. So here's the Garibaldi monument in Lincoln Park, Chicago. It's not a grave, it's a monument. And they finally, this is pretty nice. So it looks like it was always designed for this, and they finally added this concrete, which is nice. Yeah, there's the squirrels. How you doing there? See, there's the old shoreline of Chicago, or Lake Michigan. It shows you how far, even down here in the southern part of Lincoln Park, areas like Montrose Beach, it's all new land. Most of where Lakeshore Drive is, they used to be part of the lake. They made like a barrier island and then filled it in. And so that just created Diversey Harbor, Belmont Harbor, Montrose Harbor. Those are all man-made harbors that didn't exist historically. Yeah, inspiring there, Kenneth. Hey, well, that's good. See, we're doing the good work here. Missouri's tuning in there. Valerie, Texas. Yeah, Sheridan Tuesday from Texas there. Hey, well, thanks for tuning in. We do this. Usually I walk to work in the morning and the evenings for, I work downtown for an architecture and engineering firm. I get more done in the office. I'm one of those weird persons. I've been conditioned my whole life. When I work from home, I know other people love working from home, and I see why. Because, you know, like this morning, I threw in a load of laundry while I was working. I'm sure for working mothers or working fathers, it's the same thing. You know, you can get something done while you're working from home. You got kids, you're always running around kids. So it's good to be flexible, see positive, negatives, everything. But I like the structure of the office. So we have a beautiful office with a beautiful view. So it motivates me to go down there and talk to some of my coworkers in real life. Plano, Texas. Hey, thanks for tuning in from Plano. That's great there, Sarah. How you doing there? Yeah, Plano, that's up by Dallas. That's a giant suburb of Dallas, Plano, Texas. Yeah, beautiful, yeah. I've driven through there. I haven't spent much time in Plano. 20 years ago, no. I can't believe it's 20 years ago. 20 years ago, my sister and brother-in-law briefly lived in Euless, which is a suburb between, it's near Arlington. It's in between Fort Worth and Dallas. We used to go to the Fort Worth stockyards. I had another friend of mine. She lived in suburbs of Fort Worth. We'd stop and visit her and her husband at that time. And there was all the feral cats would come roaming around in the suburbs of Fort Worth. So here, we'll head, which way should we go? Hey, we'll go this way. We usually go that way. Here we got 12:15. Kokomo's tuning in here. Hey, Kokomo, Indiana. That's great. Yeah, you got the Cushing plant. A lot of good industry there in Kokomo, north of Indianapolis. I've driven through there many times with my father. I grew up in Indiana, south of Indianapolis, in the country, in the farmland there. But yeah, I've been through Kokomo. They got the bypass that goes around there finally. I think they're working on that bypass. When I went through with my aunt after Labor Day, we went to the Indiana Dunes and we drove through Kokomo, and they're working on the bypass there. But people tune in from Indianapolis, Kokomo, that's great. Northern Indiana, South Bend, Fort Wayne, and of course northwest Indiana, which is part of Chicagoland. Yeah, Taco's tuning in there. Taco jalapeno salsa there. Canada's tuning in there. Yeah, Daniel Faith. Hope you had a good Canadian Thanksgiving last Monday. I can't believe we're already past Canadian Thanksgiving. Ours isn't until the end of November, so we don't think about it until next month. But we're already past the middle of October. It's coming fast. We'll start switching to the fall and winter holidays here. Sandra, yeah. See, there's beautiful and nasty parts to all cities. Take the good with the bad. Hey, there's the John Hancock. We'll head right over there, 875 North Michigan. That's where we're walking towards. We're going to get to Michigan Avenue. The mums are looking nice. They got all the flower displays. They always have nice flower displays there on Michigan Avenue. And eventually they'll switch over to poinsettias and stuff like that. Or the ground cover, for the winter time. We still got fall mums, ornamental cabbage and kale. This is going underneath the South Street, Lincoln Park, Chicago. Yeah, thanks, Taco. Yeah, we just went through the Lincoln Park Zoo. Flamingos were out. The lion was out. There's kids playing. The Latin schools here. I think they use Lincoln Park for part of their recess area or for their phys ed. And so we'll keep the camera off the kids here. We'll show. Here's the fountain girl. There's the fountain girl. And there's the signage here. So we'll head right up here. We'll go to State Street and we'll head straight down through the middle of Gold Coast, Chicago. We'll start looking for Halloween decorations tonight. I may leave the office a little later after 5 o'clock here, and we'll once it gets dark, we'll start looking for Halloween decorations as we usually do this time of the year. Nothing big, just stuff I see on my walk home from work. We already know where some of the Halloween decorations are. And Nick, how you doing there? Anita. Ham Radical USA. Yeah, I don't understand your comment there, but whatever you say, it's okay. Thanks for commenting there. I've learned a lot of times I misinterpret comments. What people are trying to get at is too little context. It's fine. And thanks for tuning in here as we walk. We'll cross North Avenue here. There's the Archbishop's residence. Lake Michigan's that way. we'll head right down State Street on this beautiful sunny day. Here's the 1550 North State Street building. Look how nice that looks. I had to get in the shadow there. We were getting the glare of the sun. This Beaux-Arts Renaissance Revival style here, French Renaissance Revival. Keep off the grass. There's the Archbishop's residence. Of course, when I stepped off the sidewalk, I stepped in a bunch of mud. I forgot the rain we got overnight, or yesterday. Everything's still kind of mushy. Look at these opposing gates. So here, let me cross the street here. If I cross the street, we'll be in the shade, and then I won't be dealing with this glare. Right, beautiful sunshine, but we are facing south, so the sun's lower in the sky this time of the morning or afternoon. We're already past the noon. We're 12:20 here, so the sun's exactly to the south of us. But there's the back side of the Archbishop's residence here. The Catholic Church owns this. This used to be Catholic cemetery. They exhumed the bodies and made a residence there. There's some of the condos over on Astor Street. So H.H. Holmes, his hotel where he did the... H.H. Holmes was a mass murderer during the time of the World's Columbia Exposition. You can read Devil in the White City. I think that's what you're referring to, H.H. Holmes. His hotel was in Inglewood. It was down like 60-something. It was near the Dan Ryan Expressway. There's a post office there, and there was several grisly murders that happened there. And you can read the Devil in the White City, and there's documentaries about it. Hey, these witches are new. They added these witches here. And of course, there's somebody sitting in the van. I'm always amazed how, like, see this van? There's two guys just sitting there watching me. They're just sitting in the van. They're like, they think I'm filming them. I'm filming the witches. So I'm making sure I'm letting them know I'm not filming them. And here's the skeletons making out here. We filmed this before. We got this all documented at night. I'm just showing you during the day here. That reminds me of the Grateful Dead there. They're holding their wine glass. They're playing cards. This one's playing with the dog, but the dog fell over. So it looks like the skeleton's giving birth to a dog. There you go there. And look, there's somebody sitting in that van too. All these vehicles, there's people sitting in the cars, just like sitting in the cars, like just, I guess they're having their lunch break. There's, look at that. Here's the witches here. Look, they're crawling up the balconies here. That's great. So here, we'll keep on going. This is State Street, the south and north, the Gold Coast of Chicago. Some beautiful housing here. I know people are like, how much? How much? Your kingdom for a price. Hey, they added these spiders. Look at these. That's nice. Look how those spiders line up. Look at all those creepy legs there. This is on the fence. This is on State Street. That's new. That wasn't there. Look, they got these fuzzy spiders. Hairy spiders. Yeah. That's nice. I wonder if they light up at night. We'll see. Yeah, your favorite book, Devil in the White City. Yeah, you can learn so much about the architects we talk about. Daniel Burnham's in there. Louis Sullivan's in The Devil in the White City. They talk about all the design they had to do. Olmsted, you know. Many of the other, Halliburton Roche, all those had commissions for the World's Columbian Exposition there. Yeah, look at the mums. Look at the beautiful mums here. Yeah, 60 degrees there. I know, it may be ice. That's why I was at the No Kings March there. You know, yeah. So ICE is sitting in their vans in the Gold Coast looking for domestic workers. The people, why are people worried about people that work as servants for the rich people here that will hire illegal immigrants? And should we arrest the people hiring the illegal immigrants and treat them like the illegal immigrants as well? You know, which includes Monsanto and Tyson's Chicken. They're getting exemptions. Here's, yeah, we filmed this. Look at all the pumpkins here. Look at this great display. We filmed this at night. Here we're on State Street here. We're just south of Schiller. No, we're south of Burton. We're north of Schiller. And we've seen this mummy. Look at the mums there. Look at that. Yeah, this is creepy clowns. We got spiders crawling up the wall. Spooky season here in Chicago. So this evening when it gets dark, we'll film some more of this during the magic hour here. We're just heading to work here. Yeah, here's the, look, they added some more tombstones there. And there's this looks like the scarecrow from the Batman. Look, there's the Headless Horseman. And there's the skeleton too. They even got the flamingo. So hey, it's nice Halloween decorations here on State Street, Chicago, Illinois here, Gold Coast. What time we got? 12:24. Yeah, we filmed the No Kings protest. They were in probably a city near you as well. And it was nationwide. Mike Johnson thinks it was all theatricals to put pressure on them for the shutdown, but it was really just grassroots people coming out to support what they really feel. And I know you might not agree with it. You should actually understand our right to exercise our First Amendment, right to protest, freedom of assembly. You may have done it for the Tea Party or something else. We're doing it now, so. And yeah, it probably isn't going to change anything, solve anything, but it still felt good to do it. And it was good to see a bunch of people that were just the fact that we're not alone. The fact that other people are sensing that something's wrong. And there's a lot of people okay with what's going on, but there's a lot of people that are not okay with what's going on. So, when have Americans ever agreed about anything? Yeah, there's still probably some small remnants of the Chicago outfit, the Chicago Mafia. There's some people that really cover the history. I dabble in it. I don't know it to the extent other people, the current people associated, the modern people running whatever racketeering or, you know, organized crime operation in Chicago. Of course, you know about Prohibition. That was mostly Al Capone, Bugs Moran, Dino Bannon. We talk about that stuff. Jaime Weiss, Vincent Drucci. Of course, Joe Torrio was here. He was associated with the New York Five Families, and he ran the Sicily-linked Italian mob in Chicago before he was almost assassinated in the 20s. Al Capone took it over after that. Of course, Dino Bannon and Bugs Moran were the North Side gang. They fought against the South Side gang, but there were even Italians in the North Side gang like Vincent Drucci. Jaime Weiss was Polish. But a lot of them grew up in Little Hell, the area of Cabrini Green, which was a slum shanty town at that time. It wasn't public housing. It was a bunch of old shacks and tenements. And that's why they tore it down to build Cabrini Green. Here's later in the urban renewal period in the 20th century. We're on State Street. We're in Chicago, the Gold Coast. Thanks for tuning in here. We're walking to work here on a Monday. There, Marion Strokirk there, the beautician, beauty salon. Here's Goethe State. We're at Goethe State here. This used to be the pump room. Historically, it was known as the pump room. It was a place to be seen and be seen. Frank Sinatra would go to booth number 1, the famous Rat Pack, and people back in the day would hang out at the pump room. Playboy Mansion, we already passed it, was just up the street. See, I didn't even mention the Playboy Mill. I usually do. And now it's called the Ambassador Hotel, the Ambassador Room, so it's still kind of the same thing. This is Goethe State here, the Churchill Corner, named for a different Churchill, not Winston Churchill, even though Winston Churchill did come to Chicago. But there was a different Churchill physician that this is named after, the Churchill. And look at the beautiful housing here. State Street. I gotta run because the car just turned, of course. There's always a car turning, speeding up, trying to run over. Here we go. Here's, yeah, look at this nice row houses here. Hey, there's some Halloween decorations across the way. The Better Homes and Gardens here. Yeah. People got sculptures and then nice Halloween decorations here if I get above the fencing. Hey, you got the witch's legs and yeah, Beetlejuice. A lot of the little dolls from Annabelle and Addams Family. I like these skeletons. These skeletons got moxie. Look at them. They're like swashbuckling pirates there. Look at that. That one's just lounging around. Hey, there's one in the window there. Look at that one in the window. Yeah, good job there. I like when people just throw out some skeletons there. It's good. Yeah, look at that one across the way. Look at the yeah, we got some nice pumpkins here. Skeletons. This is the Gold Coast, Lincoln Park, Chicago. That's freaky. You got a little baby head on top of the spider. Nice pumpkins here.
And it's not carried.
Hey, look at that ghost in the window. There's the little ghost. There's Casper, the friendly ghost right there. Skeletons with moxie. Yeah, look at that. Hey, look at this. Yeah. So that's a creepy face there. Look at that. And then they got the skeletons at the table there. Look at that candelabra. Very nice. You got the ghoul there. So hey, Halloween decorations. We'll continue to check them out here. It's just a preview. So if you just joined, we're on State Street, Gold Coast, Chicago. And we're north of Division. When I walked through here on Saturday, I wasn't streaming because I was saving my battery for the No Kings. There was a farmer's market on Division Street here between State and Dearborn on Saturdays. I think they have that often. I don't know if they have that every Saturday, but it's similar to the Green City Market that we pass in Lincoln Park. You get flowers and corn on the cob, pumpkins, fresh produce, and other things. Yeah, it's like a Toy Story. That's right. That's we used to do that. We take the heads off the dolls and put them on other dolls and other legs and the spider and make creatures of our own, like our own. We were our own mad scientists. I know. Here, let me cross the street here, so we'll head across State Street here. So here we'll get the light here. Yeah, creativity. How you doing? How you doing, sir? Yeah, good day. Appreciate it. Enjoy the sunshine here. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So here we'll head down. We're crossing Division here. We just went by the CVS. Jennifer always films that because of the nice that they restored that, or they didn't tear it down. They wanted to tear it down, and there's nobody that lives above. That's the shame. There could be housing units above the CVS. CVS just doesn't want to deal with it. There's the sound of the red line. CTA subway train underneath us there. Which makes a corner there. Turns the corner from Clark and Division. Hey, there's the doggies there. How you doing? The doggies want to play. That's nice. Here, Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street. This is the we're kind of leaving the Gold Coast now. We're kind of heading in River North. There was a line down the street for the Clock Cologne here. Let's get across the street here. So here we'll just head down. This is where State Street breaks off from Rush Street. Yeah, I slept. I slept most of the day yesterday. Was I live streaming yesterday? No. I know it. Isn't it amazing? I give off the illusion that I'm always walking because my schedule during weekdays, because I work generally from 8 to 5. I work from 8 to noon and then from 1 until 5. That's my general work schedule. I work for an architecture and engineering firm. Usually I walk to work from 6:30 to 8. If I didn't live stream, I could get there in an hour, but since I live stream, it takes longer. And then I live stream from 5 to like 6:30 or 7 at night. That's after I get out of work. And then during my lunch break, that's what gives the illusion I'm walking all day. Like now, I usually stream in the loop because I don't have time every morning and every evening to go to the Bean, the River Walk. And so we do that stuff at lunch, go to the Sears Tower, film the bridge lifts, things like that. And so, and can you believe this? So, I posted the video of the two young women that were during the All Kings March, and they came up to my camera and they said, F Trump and F ICE, and it didn't go viral, but it got a lot of views. It already got 80,000 views, which I appreciate that. I'm happy to amplify their message. That's their free speech. I just gave them a platform. And people messaged me. They're like, we didn't know you were so liberal. I'm like, have you been watching for the past year and a half? People have been heckling me for a year and a half that I'm a left-wing socialist liberal commie. And then these people are like, they thought I was conservative this whole time. I'm like, obviously they weren't listening to what I was talking about. Did you hear that? Taco and Anita are like, and I feel like, you know, I'm so far to the left that I'm losing my mod team because they're like, you know, you got to tone it down. We can't deal with the comments. And I feel bad because it's true. You know, you post anything, you know, you're going to get. But can you believe that? Someone thought that I was, they were surprised that I was filming the All Kings after I was promoting it for like a month, you know. I'm like, where have you been? Maybe they were being sarcastic. You never can tell in the comments, or if it was a bot or if it's a real person, you know. And that's, we're all confused in the social media age here. But hey, we just went by Gibson's. Here's Hugo's Frog Bar. We went by Tavern on Rush. We went by there last Monday on Columbus Day. Last Monday was Columbus Day. We filmed the that reminds me of something else too. We filmed the Columbus Day festivities in Chicago and that was also Indigenous Peoples Day, and that was Canadian Thanksgiving that Monday last week. Someone else in the comments, this is interesting. They were supposedly offended that I was filming the All Kings March, and someone within the march had a huge Mexican flag and they said, how can they be patriotic flying the Mexican flag? I said, hey, last Monday at the Columbus Day Parade, I saw a lot of patriotic Italian Americans flying the Italian flag. And I said, are you okay with them flying the Italian flag? And yeah, see, I'm not going to film that. That's a guy that he's panhandling on the street. They got no panhandling signs, and probably somebody in the Gold Coast here called the cops on the guy begging for change there at the side of the Prada. The juxtaposition of Prada with people panhandling, you see it a lot, you know. And this is all the high end. We just passed Oak Street there. We know what the shop like. Celine, Versace, Armani's around the corner. Hermes, you know, and so there's the police fighting with the unhoused guy, and the police got an impossible situation because a business owner will call and they said, we've got no panhandling laws. This guy is asking our customers for money when they come out of the store. People call the police, and then the police have to deal with it, and it's a confrontation. Here's Versace. But let me go back to what I was talking about here. Here's We'll wait to cross the street here. We're at, you just joined me in Chicago. We're across from the Waldorf Astoria Hotel building at Rush and Walton. There's the 900 North Michigan. This is Rush Street. We're heading south here. So, okay, so I filmed the Columbus Day Parade, and that's what I said. So someone was offended that someone had a Mexican flag in the All Kings. I said, on Columbus Day that Trump just reinstated, I saw many proud Italian Americans flying the Italian flag, as they should be. It's their right. They're proud of their heritage. I see no difference in people flying the Mexican flag than flying the Italian flag, especially on Indigenous People Day. And so I'm like, and their only response was, they really didn't have a response when I pointed that out. They said, well, who did Columbus sail for? And I was like, yes, Columbus sailed for Spain. He did not sail for Italy. And it's very confusing. And I'm waiting for the response. Now they're going to call me some racist, evil person because, you know, that's their prerogative. They can make it personal. They just, you know, people can be proud of your heritage. We're a nation of, unless you're Native American Indigenous, we're a nation of immigrants, and everybody came from somewhere else. I see German Americans flying the German flag. We saw it in Oldenburg, Indiana. You know, areas in Chicago that have Mexican American heritage, you can fly the Mexican flag. It just, you know, it doesn't mean that you swear allegiance to Mexico over America. People are confused. So here, here's the Tesla store. Here's the John Hancock, 875 North Michigan. Waiting for the light to change here. How you doing there? Yeah, the borders changed. You know, we know the history there. There was the Mexican-American War, which happened In 1848, it was before the American Civil War. That's when we gained most of the Western territories. I'm talking about the United States of America, except for the Gadsden Purchase. Why did the Gadsden Purchase happen? Where Tucson and Tombstone are at in the southern part of Arizona. It was because they wanted to build a southern railroad, and they wanted that land for a railroad to go to L.A. And so the United States bought. They didn't have the lowest land, and so they wanted to buy that everything south of Phoenix. The Gadsden Purchase. Look it up. There was a dispute between Canada and the United States, 48-50, or fight between where the border between Washington State and British Columbia would be, because the one time Britain claimed Oregon and Washington State, and the United States claimed up into Canada. No one knew where the line was. So here we'll cross here. This is Joey Chestnut Street here in Chicago. There's the John Hancock, 875 North Michigan. We'll go by the water tower here. We got 1240. Yeah, I grew up in southeast Indiana there, down by Cincinnati. I grew up in the country. We get that question every day. Some questions we get every day, like how many steps you do, go to O Block, and what do you work for, where did you come from? It's a common question. As we get new followers, and thanks to the Lunch Bunch, we're really getting traction here on YouTube. We're probably surpass 11,000 followers by the time of this live stream. When I switched from TikTok to YouTube live streaming, I had about 6,000, and I was like, well, maybe I'll hit 10,000 by the end of the year. We hit 10,000 before the end of the month. So now we might hit, as long as I maintain my account in good standing and we keep gaining followers at the rate we are on YouTube, we should hit 20,000 by the end of the year, which I appreciate that. My TikTok has stopped growing because I don't live stream there, and that's fine. And Darren Monroe has always told me, he goes, the amount of people you have followers doesn't determine how many people watch you on TikTok, and it's true. Because Steve Lyon has gotten 4,000 people to watch him on his live streams. Ernie's gotten a lot of people. We've seen other, like Nick Koiken has gotten thousands of people to tune in on his live streams, which is great. And we got Lux, Chicago Vista. She's starting to get a lot of traction on TikTok as well. And so there's somebody yelling. So we'll see who's yelling here. So there's a lot of yelling going on this morning here. So I think somebody's yelling at the bike riders, what is going on here. A lot of times there's conflicts between people driving in the cars and people riding a bike, and they'll yell at each other, just like motorcycles. You see it on Instagram, and they'll break each other's mirrors and stuff. A lot of that stuff goes on. Here's the water tower. So here's the water tower, Chicago. Road rage. Hey, they closed up the horse drinking trough here, horse fountain here, watering fountain here. There it is. There's the water tower, Chicago. Look at those blue skies here. We got October the 20th, 2025. We're back here. But isn't that amazing that hundreds of thousands of people could march in a freedom of speech protest, all Kings, and then just a few hours later, the city had a parade for kids, a Halloween parade there, the Arts in the Dark. And how you doing? Appreciate it. No, I appreciate that. I'm heading through here. I'm live streaming. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. So here we'll cross the street here, and there we go. There's the pump room there. He thought I was a tourist. I look like a tourist because most Chicagoans wouldn't be filming the John Hancock, just like most New Yorkers never go to Times Square because it's just a tourist trap. But here's the 900 North Michigan. I'm heading to work. I got a reason to be here. This is the way I get to work. So I naturally walk through these areas on my way to work, which make it perfect for live streaming. And I know I walk in the same areas all the time, but this is my commute to work. And people will say, oh, go to the south side, west side. I do. It's just not on my normal course to work. And when I'm there, I stream. We went to Pilsen for the... we went to meetings down there. Ernie showed me the Chicago Fire have their practice facilities down there in Pilsen. I might cut out that footage. It's still on YouTube, and that's why I like YouTube. I can always go to the archives and edit down stuff I missed. Hey, Michael Rodriguez. Yeah, the CEO of Antifa. That's me. That's me. Says, tell Trump you found the CEO of Antifa. I paid all those protesters out of my own pocket. Yeah, you're right. You found me. I'm Antifa. There, go alert the authorities there, jerk. It shows you how stupid it is. Antifa is just whatever is against the Trump administration. You can label anybody that. Nixon tried to do the same thing. There is an enemies list. The guy that wears the crocodile suit, he's on the list because he was protesting at the facilities. They'll make sure they put a black spot next to your name. You know, he's got to hire a lawyer now, and you can go to his GoFundMe there and help him out if you want to really support the cause. I'm sure they labeled him Antifa or whatever you want to call it. Free Cincinnati. I saw there were protests on the suspension bridge. I saw there was like the police beating people up. This happened like a month ago. There was a march across the suspension bridge in Cincinnati, and the Cincinnati police were punching people, and then people were documenting it, and they were like taking people down and right on them over the Ohio River. Did anybody see that? Yeah. So here's the Harry Potter. And if you didn't know, I was being sarcastic about being the CEO of Antifa. It's just, you know, we got the same tired tropes. Like people were like, all these are paid protesters. And then you see the video, they would go, they said, are you being paid? Everybody's like, we're not getting paid to do this. We would like to get paid. Maybe the people are getting paid to troll us. Look at the mums here. Here's Converse store. Here's Nike Town. We'll go past the squirrel here. Hey, we got the flag here. Nike Town. There's the squirrel. Hey, here's the squirrel in front of Nike Town there. Eating a nut there. There, Michigan Avenue. Here's the giant Starbucks. So we got 12:47 here. This is what time we got. People are tuning in from different time zones. We're right in the noon hour here. Yeah, it was Cincinnati police. I'll see if I can find the video. I think I liked it, but I can't keep track of all the stuff because, you know, it's all the stuff in LA and Chicago, and, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. Oops. So look at this guy. He's just going to bow through here. Yeah, you jerk. You want to run over pedestrians. Then he points at him. He tried to get across. So here, we'll head down Michigan Avenue. Hey, look at the mums there. Mum's the word. Hey, Lorraine, how you doing there? Well, you know, I don't want to paint all police with the broad brush. Most police are good people with families. They're trying to do their job. It's a few bad cops ruin it for the rest. Just like white people. There's some white people that are racist, but not all white people are racist. And the white people that are racist ruin it for the rest of us, and we're embarrassed. You know, and I'm actually more angry at the white racist people than people of other ethnicities that are racist towards white people, because I know that's what a lot of this is about. People feel like reverse discrimination. Well, we brought it upon ourselves. And I'm sure you probably saw by now, there was that in New York City? There was a bunch of grown men. They were older than me. They were counter-protesting the All Kings March there, and they were taunting them, and they were doing gay slurs. They were doing gay slurs in their march. And so some young teenage kids, probably, or 20-year-old, they walked alongside him and act like they were chanting what they were chanting. So they thought they were with their side, and they stole the guy's glasses, and then they ran away, and the guy kept running out, and they kept tripping the guy, and he kept falling down until he hit his head. He brought that upon himself. And You know, what was his, you know, his rights might have been violated, but he brought it upon himself by being there. If you're in the arena, you know, same with the protesters fighting against the cops. If they get tear gas or mace, they were fighting the police or fighting ICE, and they're willing to take the risk and throw their bodies on the line and be arrested. And I'm not condoning it, but they're willing to take the risk. I'm not. Here's the La Katrina here. I feel like we could protest in other ways, which is what we did on Saturday. Just showing people that we're not alone, and there's safety in numbers. And all this fear that was created, people are like, don't go down there, you're going to be on a watch list. It's too late. We're already on a watch list. The election already happened. And nobody's disputing the election. Trump won this election. We're disputing too much power is being ceded to the executive branch. Here, we'll head across here so I can show the nice vintage skyscrapers here. So here's Michigan Avenue. Looking north. They got the scaffolding. That used to be Under Armour. They're going to put a new retail establishment there. A lot of this building's empty retail-wise. It just there's not as much demand for the big box retail. But this is Michigan Avenue. We're south of Ohio Street. Look at the beautiful fall displays here in the median, the mums. Shocks the corn. And we'll film these beautiful vintage skyscrapers as we head south on Michigan Avenue towards the Chicago River. 64 degrees. Beautiful sunshine here in Chicago, Illinois. We're down at Grand Avenue where the Nordstrom Mall is here. Hey, Ruth Page. Yeah, Ruth Page here. Dancer and choreographer. So you can go down to the lower level there. Streets below the streets. Don't fall in the stairwell. Hey, Dolores, Valerie, yeah. Yeah, Obama never skipped due process. Good point. Obama deported millions. Biden deported millions, but they did it the right way, a more humane way with due process. And even if people aren't U.S. citizens, they still deserve basic human rights as by the United Nations to know who's arresting them, that it's not a unnamed mob. Look at that. Look at that's the Intercontinental Hotel. It used to be the Medina Athletic Association, built by the Shriners. There's a pool on the 17th floor. You could stay in there if you stay there. Of course, they got rooms over there too. The Addition. Michael Jordan's restaurant's in the bottom there, the Intercontinental Hotel. And here's the Tribune Tower. Look at these vintage 1920s skyscrapers here in Chicago. And you don't have to like this city, but you have to admit we had pretty cool architecture. And we shouldn't just throw it away. Look at that. Oh. So how can America be great without great cities? And how can America be great when a president wants to weaken the cities that make America great? Because if you don't like cities, I understand you don't like our politics. Try most of our economy. If you take California, Illinois, New York City, just those three states, that's like half the economy of the United States. And I know you don't like it, and you might be willing to concede that, but California pays a lot more to the federal government than Texas does. And that's why I was so incensed that the Texas governor would want to send their National Guard, because they would go nuts if we sent the Illinois National Guard to Texas. Why would we want to do that? You know, it's all part of the grand strategy of why they sent the migrants up here to punish the sanctuary cities, and we're being punished. There's the Plaza of the Americas there, wings over Mexico. Here's the Illuminatis here, and look at this beautiful view we get to the other vintage skyscrapers. I don't know why I guess they're working on the steps to the Wendella. Looks like there's some people over here. This is the Wrigley building. So if we get the light here, we'll cross. And because we can't. But look, there's the Jewelers building. There's the Mather Tower. And there's the London House here. So we're going to get the light here. We'll cross the street. There's Michigan Avenue looking north here. Look at that. Up to, there we go. We got the light here. See, they're doing the 6-7. Isn't that amazing how that just catches on? No one knows why or what it means or what it's for. It just, we all like it here. So here we go. Look, they got some tickets here. Here's the Tribune here. What's going on here? Down Uber Eats. So they got some Uber Eats. Here, you come up and get your Uber Eats here. They got, so here, this is Pioneer Square. So right by the Apple Store, they got some Uber Eats promotion here. So here it is. There, Uber Eats. So what is it?
Aldi's on Uber Eats.
Aldi's on Uber Eats here. Yeah, there you go. That's good.
We're doing some snack giveaway bags as well.
That's good. Yeah, look at all these people coming out, get a snack. Yeah, thank you. I got to go to work, but I'll let people know. Okay, so that's what it is. There's the promotion. Aldi's going to be at Uber Eats there. So there's your free commercial. So there's the Wrigley Building. There, look at that. There's the Trump Tower behind it. Look how nice it looks in the sun there. There's the Wrigley Building, Chicago, Illinois. Thanks for tuning in there, Michigan Avenue. Who pays for Americans' health care? Why do so many Americans hardly have any health care? And it's not just because all the money's going to the illegal immigrants. It's because we, as a country, need to spend more on socialized medicine for everybody. And so thanks for bringing up healthcare, because that's part of what the shutdown is about. So it's highlighting that even in red states, even in states that went for Donald Trump, the price of healthcare is going up for Americans. Even under Trump, even after all this stuff against that ICE is doing, it's not enough. It's not enough to bring down healthcare costs. More needs to be done than just removing the immigrants. And you think that's gonna solve the problem? You know how much money's being spent on ICE to do what they're doing, and they're very inefficient at what they're doing. It's very wasteful government spending. But you're okay with it because it creates fear in the communities that you want to create fear in. You know, and if it's not affecting you, kudos to you. You feel, you know, like it can never happen to you. You know, here. Thanks for tuning in. Just have some empathy. Even though Shady Van says empathy's bad, I say empathy's good. I say empathy's still a Christian value. And why are white Christian nationalists all of a sudden not wanting to be empathetic? It depends on the color of the person's skin. I said it. Yes, I did. And you can hate me for saying it. Go ahead. Bring it on. I'm just saying, for people to be empathetic, it's a nice Christian value. And I'm not even a Christian. Here, there's the Trump Tower there. There's the Wrigley Building. We got to use the Bible against the people trying to use the Bible against us. People tried to use the Christian Bible to justify slavery. They tried to use it to, whatever your cause is, you can find a verse that'll support it. Even the Church of Satan uses the Bible. You were invited to live in the Philippines. How'd Duarte do? Remember, Duarte was just like killing people that he thought were on drugs. How did it end up for him? Now our current president's blowing boats out of the water. You know. Yeah, thanks, Wes. Hallelujah, testify. So hey, we made it to work at 1 o'clock. I didn't think I was going to make it here. So we'll start this again after 5 o'clock once I get south of Water Street. Thanks again to everybody that watched the All Kings there on Saturday. I know my coverage was spotty. It was impossible to watch, very frustrating. I knew it was going to be, I was amazed I was able to stream as much as I did with those crowds, hundreds of thousands of people. Ernie had the same problem. This Gemini had the same problem. He might have been able to film. You can watch this Gemini on YouTube. And Jody GTV was there. Healthcare Should Be Free was streaming all day on Saturday. I'm sure he has a bunch of great footage. We tried to see him, but we met Jody GTV. We were going to go over to where healthcare should be free, but we left him alone there on Saturday. He was still in Grant Park all afternoon. And I'm glad he's able to stream. Here's the Carbide and Carbon. There's the Citizen M. But hey, thanks everybody. Thanks mods. Yeah, Wes. Alvaro. Yeah, taxi. So Sidestepping the question? Yeah, I sideswept it. I'm sure I never answered it. I'm never going to answer it to the level that other people want me to. Yeah, so I might have sidestepped the question because I don't want to get banned from YouTube or TikTok by saying what I really think. So, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a good rest of your Monday there. We'll see you after 5, and we'll look for Halloween decorations. Check out the reruns there, and we'll catch you later today here. Yeah, go Lions there, Kevin. Yeah, that's right. So the Lions play tonight. They got the Monday night game. Hey, Kevin, I saw Anna Robb. Yeah, you sent me that. She's on that radio program. That's great. I saw she was on some radio program. That's her new gig there. That's a good idea. I hope she does well there. Anna Robb there in Detroit. Kevin, yeah, go Lions there. The Bears won yesterday against the Saints. And the LA Dodgers are in the World Series. We'll see what happens with Toronto and Seattle, who they're going to face there, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. So, hey, have a good rest of your day. There's the Wrigley Building. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, the Lions play Tampa Bay and Detroit. Good. So we'll look at that tonight there. All right, talk to you later. Have a good day. Appreciate it. We'll talk more about healthcare tonight. Okay, thanks a lot.